Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 5 Tips and Tricks for Careers in Athletics. I'm your host, Dr. Maury Mosovitz, with my all-time best, most favorite, most wonderful, most stupendous, most zippity-doo-dah co-host of all times, Jen Albanese. Welcome, Jen.
Hello, Maury. Is this a foreshadowing of what we're talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
Right now?
Well, we have Madison coming on, who is awesome, and we are very grateful to be connected by Emily Quigley, who's one of our favorite people.
Our favorites. We love you, Emily. We love you.
So that's exciting. So she's going to be coming up talking about her experience in development and being just in the world of college athletics, working with the NCAA. So great person to have on. But we were talking a little bit about Disney, right?
Oh, our favorite place, Maury. You know
I know.
this.
I just there recently with the whole Mosovitz clan. The whole group was
God.
there.
Yes. Oh, and then we've obviously been together before as well.
Yes.
So it's just such a magical place. You know, there's just no place better.
Walt Disney World. You got to have it. My direct memory of Walt Disney World with Jen is in any transportation that we do. No matter what it is, as soon as you turn the corner to see the castle, Jen just has tears. It's just streaming down, like crying. It doesn't matter how many times we go. As soon as you get that glimpse of the castle, it's like waterworks just showing up right there, there.
It was like extra specially cry when I had my daughter for the first time. When I had Natalie with me, and I was like, I'm at the castle with my daughter.
It was ugly cry. It was an ugly cry.
It was an ugly cry.
But it is exciting. I know so many people are like, oh, Disney, it's tired. It's like usually your kids are upset. No, I find it very magical.
I could do it all day, every day. You wouldn't have to. There's no stress there for me. I mean, stress, it's a different kind of stress. Like it's a stress of like, what ride are we going to get on and how are we going to get on all of them in one day in 12 hours?
See, I don't have that stress because of my wife. Like my wife is like the Disney planner. I just it's like one of the best vacations because I just follow along. Like we talk about things, but like she's like, "Yep, we're on this one next, then we're gonna go here and I go here." Great, I'm in.
I'm here. I'm just here to ride. Here to ride all the rides.
I'm here to just participate as much as we possibly can of what you're offering. She does have limitations. You cannot stay the entire time. You have to she forces breaks into it. You can't go to.
That's good. That's good because with kids, you need to have a break or they'll turn into animals. So you
can't do 2 parks in a row. That my father broke the rule for her. We literally were going somewhere else, like just to take a break. And he's like, "Nope, we're going to a park." And my wife just jumps on and takes care of it all. So it's a great vacation. I always am taking care of all these other people. I just get to follow along.
Yeah, that's nice. I do love traveling with your wife because she does that really everywhere. It's not just Disney. Like she always has the reservations for dinner. She always has an activity planned. So that's really nice. But like when we go, it's always like me and John together kind of doing it. So there's like a little bit of a stress, but it's not like a real life stress. Like, real life stress. It's just Disney stress and it's fine. It's like no big deal.
As long as you're not arguing in front of Mickey Mouse, it should all be okay.
No, it's totally fine. But it's like some of the best memories when you were a kid, and then to be able to share that with your kids and like see your parents with your kids, like very, very cool. I mean, we've done a lot of like special moments there. Like we both announced pregnancies at Disney. Remember that? Like
very cool.
So like very cool, like fun, incredible memories that I hope my kids take with them. And, we could go a couple times a year. I'm totally fine with that.
There you go. Disney magic. Well, we're going to.
The magic.
We're going to extend magic into Madison's interview.
Yes, absolutely.
And just have her have a great time. So we will be back after these messages.
Are you a loyal 5 Tips and Tricks podcast listener? If not, now is the time to start. Get all your info and fun content on the podcast by following us on all our social channels at @AthCareerPod. The 5 Tips and Tricks podcast is a part of Athletic Career Consulting. Make sure to reach out to us. The one-stop shop for everything is our website, www.athcareer.com. Remember, follow and like us on @AthCareerPod, rate and review us, and get all your info at www.athcareer.com. All right, everybody, welcome back. Maury, would you like to introduce our guest today?
Very excited for this one. She began her journey as a Division I student athlete at Manhattan University, formerly Manhattan College, where she competed in track and field, served on the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, and was nominated for the 2018 NCAA Woman of the Year. After graduating with a degree in marketing and a minor in digital media, she went on to serve as a Division II governance postgraduate intern at the NCAA, supporting national committees and championship events. She then joined Yale Athletics as an associate director of development and engagement, where she helped raise over $10 million, launching the Yale Women's Athletic Network, and led large-scale alumni events and campaigns. Currently, at the University of Connecticut Foundation, she serves as the director of development, operations for UConn Athletics, from overseeing major fundraising campaigns and digital strategies to launching the first ever UConn Women's Athletics Weekend. She continues to lead impactful initiatives that celebrate athletes, building community, and drive meaningful support for college sports. Very happy to welcome Madison Arndt to the podcast. Welcome, Madison.
Hello. How are you guys tonight?
Hello. Thank you so much for doing this.
We're really excited to have you because you're friends or roommates with one of our favorite one of our favorite people, but a previous podcast guest,
I love
Emily.
it. Emily Quigley. Shout out Emily Quigley.
We can't have a podcast without referring to Emily every once in a while. Like, you just got to have her around.
She's wonderful. She's such a wonderful person. And I'm grateful that UConn brought us together. And just like a lot of other people probably starting out in college sports, you kind of sometimes live with the people you work with.
Exactly.
Just so happens. And we have a great house here in West Hartford. And I really have enjoyed getting to know her personally as well as professionally. So
yeah, if Emily says it's someone we should interview, I think we're pretty happy to jump on.
Exactly. Everyone knows she's one of my favorites because I feel like I say it any chance I get. So we were very grateful when we were chatting and she recommended you to be one of our guests. So we're excited to chat with you tonight. So
awesome.
So with that, we got to hear those tips. So let's get into the first tip or trick that you got.
And it's funny, this is such a fun exercise for me too, because I feel like I don't get to stop and pause and really think about like who I was back when I was starting in college sports. So I think the first tip for me personally is like a little bit of a twist on if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. But for me, the tip is if you love who you work for, you're never going to work a day in your life. And I think that you guys, even just talking about Quigley and the relationship you guys have with Emily is very much similar to where I have come up in college sports as well. I've been very fortunate to work for wonderful people outside of their careers and who really care about the individual at play here, not only within our professional development, but our personal development as well. And I think that is the main reason why my career has gone the way it has in the last 6, 7, 8 years is because I can really relate to the people that I work with. We have such a collaboration within our team. My bosses have been nothing but supportive in my journey throughout college sports. And the bosses that I don't work for anymore, we still have a wonderful relationship with. It's funny. We talk about on our team, and we have a team of 12. It's a big team at the UConn Foundation in athletics in particular. And we talk about like hiring personalities that fit within our team as well is one of the main drivers behind why we hire who we hire. And it comes back to this whole, who are we as humans and how can we relate to each other? And then how can we really play into our strengths within, what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. As well as you know, we're spending a lot of time together. And if you're spending a lot of time together outside of your normal 9 to 5 hours, you really got to like who you work with and who you work for. So I think that has made my career extremely enjoyable to date.
Yeah. You got to like that tribe, right? You got to like enjoy that group that you're with and that center point, everything. So that's an awesome tip.
I feel like I say that all the time to my crew. And we know we were talking about this, but like, if you have to be able to spend the time with those people. You have to like them outside of it. Like they have to like my kids. They have to know my husband. They have to know my, you know what I mean? Like that's part of it, because you are spending nights and weekends and your birthday there and holidays together sometimes and traveling together. So, that's part of it. And I say that, and Maury and I have been on so many search committees together. It's always about like, will that person fit into like the rest of us and what we talk about and what we like and what we enjoy outside of sports. I mean, we all love sports. That's the common denominator. Like we all are sports fans, but like what else is there that you can connect with? And that's such a huge piece of when you hire people. So I love that point. I think that's so good.
Totally. And I come back to like, oh, go ahead, Maury.
No, go ahead.
I come back to like, as I'm transitioning into a different time period in my personal life as well, like looking to get married and have kids and settle down as well. Some of my coworkers are also going through that, and being able to relate to them on personal and professional levels has just made everything so much more enjoyable. My office mate is pregnant, and I'm her like point of contact for her husband. If anything goes wrong at work, I was the first one to know. And she was like, if I'm going to get sick in this office, you better know about it. And so it's just like little things like that, you know, if you can really come down to the humanity aspect of who you're working with and relate to them personally, the professional, you know, side of the house comes really easy as well.
It's funny. You will have these like this connection to the people that you came up with. Like it either always is that, and then there's people above it. Like everyone kind of has their, you know, class year or group. You know, it's not as clear as that, but like a segment of time where you're all kind of in the same level.
The cohort.
It's a cohort, and then you start looking around. The older you get, and like people are getting into different places and going up, and so it's a really cool environment. And what a great tip. So. Awesome.
Yeah, that was a good one. Good one.
Okay, let's jump into number 2.
Okay. Tip number 2, which kind of maybe touches into like younger me, right, is be where your feet are and get really good at that, right? I think when I look back at when I was coming out of undergrad, and I was very, very fortunate to be in rooms when I was at the NCAA, when I was a student athlete, with people who were very much leaders in college sports at the time, ADs, commissioners, you know, President Emmer from the NCAA. Like I was in and around that at a very young age. And it got to a point where sometimes I had this kind of like inflated idea of like who I needed to talk to in order to figure out what I wanted to do. When in reality, I think I could have come down a little bit more to my ground and really work hard at what I was doing so that I could prep for these conversations, for interviews, for the next job and all that kind of stuff. And so it's hard not to get caught up in a lot of the politics that are associated with college sports in general, or what your next role might be. But I do think being where your feet are at, and I think coming to campus really put that into perspective for me. While, you know, the beginning of my career was really on the national stage, being at Yale and UConn, like you're in the weeds, right? And so you really just have to be where you're at and be really good at what you're doing. And then other people will take notice eventually. And that will then hopefully propel your career in whatever way you envision it. So I really had a kind of a little bit of a reality check coming to campus. Like I think a lot of people warned me about that, but being able to just be where I am and be really good at what I'm doing has really been my main focus in my career for the last 5 years.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think it's a good point to point out, like relationships with people and just meeting someone is not going to be a career builder. But if you're working really hard and they see that and you're engaging with them through your work, that does change the factor or change the relationship. So like being invested in where you're at, not just kind of superficially saying, hey, and getting to know somebody but they're being memorable to someone because of all the great work you do is such a good difference. So what a great example.
Yeah, like how you said it in a way of like you doing the work and like being good at it, people will take notice. You don't have to go and search for that. Like if you're doing the job the right way and the best way, people will take notice, and that will help propel your career regardless of trying to like find that next opportunity. So I like that. I think people forget that, and we say that a lot, and there's been other guests that have said it like that, but I like how it's like do the work and then like it'll just come.
Right.
You know, like if because if you don't do the work, then
it won't happen.
It won't happen.
Right. And you don't have the experience either behind what you're doing.
It seems really simple, but people don't think of it that way. They think like, oh, I just have to be hungry. I just got to keep going. I got to keep finding the next opportunity, keep reaching out, keep networking. It's like, okay, do the stuff that you are supposed to do right now really, really good. And then people will notice that. So,
right.
Awesome.
And I also think like you never know who's watching you at whatever point you're at. And I think I actually just learned this during my performance review this past year, just to be honest with you guys, like we were going through with my boss and I put in a lot of work this year on some different campaigns that we were trying to do and trying to raise more money, obviously. And someone who I only had maybe 2 or 3 touch points with across the foundation, who was a new hire, but he's high up on the AVP side, made a compliment to me about our interaction, and I didn't even think twice about my interaction with him. It was really just what I was doing and explaining to him, our process, blah blah blah, and it resonated enough with him for him to say something to my boss's boss. And then it came up in our performance evaluation for my career and where I'm going. And so it just comes to show that like, if you do the work, you do it hard, and you communicate what you're doing to people, you'll never know who takes notice and who can actually like impact your career further.
Yeah.
That's such a good example. That I literally couldn't have been said any better. That's such a perfect example. That's perfect. That's awesome.
Okay, number 3.
Okay, number 3 is a little bit more development focused, because I know obviously I work in development and that's my career so far. But it can be broadly based, is using the tools that you have at your fingertips. Like I think when it comes to like doing my day-to-day job, there have been a plethora of resources and tools that come across my desk that can be helpful and sometimes can't. And so combing through and being, again, in the weeds, you got to work smart and you got to work hard, but sometimes there's ways to work smarter in a lot of these scenarios. And one of the tools that I have been tapping into is AI. And I think in the space of higher education, AI is just kind of touching the surface on what we're doing. But I do think on the marketing, branding side of the house, it's become a very helpful tool for us in the operation side of the house to come up with some creative ideas, save some time on some of the things that normally take a lot more time to do, and streamline a lot of our processes on reporting and things like that. So a lot of the interfaces that we're using have AI as a part of it now. And really just being in that lens of, okay, how do I take what we've done on the old school front and utilize new school tech to really bring us into what is hopefully an extremely efficient operation. And so that's kind of what my job is, just to get a little bit into that. And through things like AI or automation and email marketing, it has been really helpful to just look at what we're doing and then how can we enhance it and what tools can we use at our fingertips to really enhance this. And so that's really what I've been doing over the last year in particular, and moving forward into the digital space even more. So
I feel like in higher ed, which athletics is a part of, like AI is a little bit scary because of plagiarism and all these things. So a lot of people are like let's kind of pull back a little bit, but it does have some like amazing opportunities. And as long as you're using, you're the one generating the ideas and the work, and it's helping you to advance that, like what a great opportunity. And I'm sure the funny thing about it is it's probably our older podcaster, or older listeners that listen to our podcast that need that more than anything, because I'm sure some of these younger people that are growing up with it, it's just going to be like second nature.
Part of it. Yeah. Part of it.
Well, and I think any athletic department or sport, in general, professional or collegiate, everybody's looking for more efficient ways to do their jobs, and ways to do their jobs that don't cost as much money and save money. And, so I think if AI can help do that, I think that's the benefit. That's the positive. And if it takes less time to write a press release, or less time to write copy for a PA announcement or an email blast or a social post or whatever, if AI is going to help do that more efficiently, I think that is something that we need to all tap into, because everybody is in that sense of, we need more efficiency. We need to work smarter, not harder. We don't have as many resources at our fingertips, whether that's people or money. So how do we do this in a more efficient way? So I think that I don't think people should look at it. It is scary. I mean, I'm older, so I'm like, oh geez, oh my God. But like, I think looking at it and like just your mindset of it and how you look at it is so important. So that's really cool to hear that you're doing that. And I'm sure there's other universities doing the same thing. So that's pretty cool.
Totally. Yeah. And on the after the implication of it, right, the AI too, on the other side of like, how do you be even more efficient in what you just did, I think is really interesting to look at. Like, our email interface that we're working in just launched. I don't know if you guys use Paciolan at Syracuse.
No, we use TM engagement. Yeah.
Got it. So Paciolan has been a wonderful tool for us at UConn, and has been able to really enhance our digital strategy, not only in development, but also in marketing and ticketing. And so we're really looking at like the holistic revenue generation structure and what it means to bring in revenue, not necessarily just on a donor basis, but also in everything that we do on the external side of the house. And they just launched a AI interface within Paciolan, within marketing automation, that it allows us to really look at some of the data points that we don't really necessarily have time to report out on and pull out ourselves. And then we can then bring that as middle management to upper management and say, like, here are our areas that we need to focus in on. Here are the things that are working. Here are the things that are not working. And it really just helps us be better in our spaces. So I totally understand the scariness of it. And I too am very apprehensive in this space, but I do think within some of the platforms that we're using that are launching these AI, subsets of what they're doing, it really is helpful in, doing more with less, right?
Yes, so 100%. Yeah. And that's awesome. That's where most people are at right now, more with less. Yeah. So that can help that. So
awesome.
So interesting. So interesting.
Okay. Got to keep out number 4.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So tip number 4 goes completely different than the AI side of the house, right? Because at the end of the day, development is a person-to-person industry. Right. And so my tip is to remember to lead with humanity and lead with that customer service, face-to-face interactions at the forefront of everything that we do. In a world where we're working in development with a very large audience of donors that, stem from the very young group of people who are fresh out of college, who have been around technology, who are all on their phones, who communicate and, want their needs met X, Y, and Z very quickly, to the upper echelon of donors who might have more purchasing power and really want printed tickets and printed invoices and all of that kind of stuff. It's a pain point. It is a pain point.
I know.
Across all of athletics, that printed
ticket.
I hear you, and that is the bane of my existence. But I do think when you are having these face-to-face conversations with all the people across the board and understanding their needs, you really put that customer service lens on and say, okay, how can I come down and relate to you and step out of my work for a little bit and really understand their reasoning, why they're doing what they're doing, why they're giving, and bring it back down to a human aspect. And I think if that translates not only in your job, but in the leaders that you're around too, it does just make, things a little bit easier. That, we're constantly reminded from our boss is like, these are real interactions with people. The text that you're sending to renew your tickets, there's a person behind that who is invested in UConn athletics. And, sometimes you got to pick up the phone and call them instead of that text. So it's really a reminder for people who are looking to get into external positions in particular, that the people that you are dealing with are people. And sometimes you need to bring it down to the level that they're at, so that you can really find the common ground on how to move forward if issues arise, or trying to get them to what your priorities are, and having them understand that and hopefully take action on it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've said it how many times, Maury, about relationships and relationship building, and we talk about it like internally with like staff, but this is such a good reminder that it's also about the people that we're serving, which is the fan. Whether you're in professional or collegiate, like the fans drive everything. They drive your attendance, they drive your revenue, they drive why we're here. They're here to support our student athletes or support the athletes that are competing. So having those relationships is so important, because then they feel connection. They feel the connection to the department, to the team, to you personally. Yeah. I don't know how many times, I talk with our development crew, like, oh, they only want to work with this person because that's the person that they work with all the time. And that's who calls them. And that's who they know about all the time. We even have like family and friends that say, oh, my buddy, Jonathan in the ticket office, I talk to him 3 times a month. And he tells me all about it. And, I use Jonathan as an example just because I know he's talking to everybody. So, that's just such a good thing to say. Cause I think, again, people forget that the fan is a person too. They're not just a dollar sign, they're not just a ticket. They have a life, they have experiences, they have a connection to your department and your team as well. So yeah, I like that. I like
Great
that
stuff.
And it's really recognizable when that type of mentality comes from your leadership as well. And I think our athletic director does a really great job in a world where we have made systemic changes year after year after year on how we're handling basketball season tickets, on how we're handling seat donations, on how we're handling all of these large financial decisions. Our athletic director has been open and honest the entire time. And he is very active on Twitter. He knows where our fans are, and he interacts with them one-on-one. And I don't know of a lot of athletic directors who do that kind of work. And I think it's really important to really be in touch with your fan base on what's going on and being honest with them and in a real-time response, so that they know that we still want them to be a part of this, even though we're making these hard changes that can impact them financially as well.
Yeah.
So
they feel valued. They feel valued when they're heard, when somebody responds to them, when someone answers a question that they directly ask, they feel heard, and then they feel a part of it, and then they feel invested, and then they want to be a part of it. So,
yep.
Great.
Okay, Jen, this is your
All
big
right.
moment.
Okay, so last one. What do you know now that you wish you knew then? So what do you know now at this point in your career that you wish you knew when you first started?
This is a good one. This is a really good question. I think I know a lot more now than I did when I was 22 years old.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
But the biggest thing for me personally, is that my well-being, is just as important as my work ethic, 100%. And I think, coming from being a full-time Division I student athlete, right into an internship that was really cutthroat, stopping, like I lost my identity a little bit. I think student athletes go through that a lot, is figuring out who the heck they are outside of being an athlete. And really putting my pedal to the metal on my job and traveling a bunch, and then COVID hit, right? And I think that really chemically changed a lot of us on how we operate. And so coming out of that, there were some times where I put my well-being completely in the back burner. And so the last year and a half or so, since actually I've gotten into this position in particular, I have been a silent soldier, right? Really working hard underneath everybody else, doing the work that I'm supposed to be doing, but I've suffered mentally and physically, in that process. And it got to a breaking point where I was like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I need to prioritize myself. And there were hard boundaries that I had to set. And I think that one is part of growing up, but two, also becoming a professional that really has the ability to say no to some things now, instead of being a yes person where I want to learn and I want to be a sponge and all that kind of stuff. And now I've gotten to a point in my career where I can be a little choosy in some things, and really take on what I can and also say no. And my well-being is now, coming first, and we're hoping that can transition into the fall, as we know is like a crazy time and crossover season and things like that.
Yeah. Yep.
But my work ethic is still there. You can have both. I think that's the biggest thing, right? Like it was always to me like one or the other, right? But in my mind, now that I'm approaching 30, like I definitely know that it can coexist with each other. Right. There are just hard decisions that you have to make in that. And I speaking to any young person who's getting into this industry in particular, I hope that they can learn to prioritize their well-being, because it does make work more enjoyable when you are not burnt out. And people always say, like, you can't pour from an empty cup, or like a empty cup. But for me, you can't pour from a cup with holes in it, right? Yeah. So, and I got to a point where my cup, as much as I filled it up, there were holes in the cup. And so the water wasn't actually being able to be collected. So what can you do to actually patch those holes up? And so that when you do things that fill your cup up, you can actually pour. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned in the last couple of years in particular.
Phenomenal tip. That's something that everyone just has to appreciate. It sometimes takes time, unfortunately.
Yep, it does.
And like how you said it with like the cup and the filling of the cup, like you can only hear it, but you have to experience it too.
Yes.
Like everybody says to you, oh, work-life balance. But if you've never experienced it and like for yourself been like, wow, I need to make this change for me. It doesn't really resonate until it happens to you. So hopefully somebody hears it and that kind of triggers, and the way you said it, I think was perfect. But that's so important, because nobody can do their job well if they're not taking care of themselves.
Exactly.
So,
totally.
And wait until you get a little bit older. Oh, you're only 30,
listen. And you throw kids in there too. Like,
yeah.
I'm well aware of what's coming down the pipeline.
Changes a lot.
Changes it all. So.
It does. And what I've heard too from my boss, who has children, and I've always looked up to her as, one, a woman in development, but two, a mother in development, who kills it in a sense of when she had kids, she said her mentality just switched. It just switched, and she just got a whole new perspective on everything she does. And, I hope that I can be in a good mental space when that time comes and be able to continue to flourish in a career like this.
Well, Madison, you've killed it today. We appreciate it so much, your time, and just have enjoyed you being on here.
Fantastic tips.
Awesome.
Tips.
Thank you guys for what you do. I think this is a really good resource for a lot of different people out there, but specifically the young people who are trying to get into this industry. So
we're glad you were able to join us and participate. So Jen, make sure everyone knows what we got going on here.
Yes. So again, thank you so much. And shout out to Emily again. Thank you. We love you.
Thank
you for connecting us. But yes, thanks everybody for listening, and make sure you're following us on all your socials at AthCareerPod, and liking and sharing everything and listening to us on any podcast platform, and leave those comments. Tell us what you like, what you want to hear, any guests you want. But yeah, this has been so great, and we thank you guys for all your support. And Madison, thank you so much. So
see everybody soon.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
If you like the 5 Tips and Tricks podcast, make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. You can rate and review us, including questions that may be answered on future episodes. The 5 Tips and Tricks podcast for careers in athletics is part of Athletic Career Consulting. Check us out at www.athcareer.com. Don't forget to follow and like us on your top social media platforms.